Media. How many people here have a BlackBerry? How many people have the Z10? The Q10? Not shipped yet. Oh, one. We have a brand evangelist. Okay. How many people switched from BlackBerry to iPhone? Okay. Right. Well, that sort of begs the first question then, Mr. Boulben, doesn't it?
So, as you've just teased me, Charlie, maybe I can start by raising a formal complaint.
Okay.
Okay? I arrived last night and I asked for the program of the festival. And I was told, just download the app. So I looked on BlackBerry World, on my Z10, on my Q10, and there was no app.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, okay, as well as firing the IT director of C², what can I say to that? I tell you what, we will put the Festival Media application and all of my company's applications in the BlackBerry format and your new BB10 system if you get a really good round of applause at the end of this interview. How's that? So it's in the hands of our delegates here. So let's see how we get on. I think the key question here, I mean, you've been at BlackBerry, what, for about a year?
9 months.
9 months, so very new to the job. We all know, it's very public, you know, that BlackBerry, a couple of years ago in 2009, had a 20% market share of the smartphone industry, and now it's only 5%. Your Q4 earnings recently were half of the Q4 earnings a year before. If any business has been caught in the eye of huge technology change, it's been BlackBerry. So my first question really is, how do you get back to that market share? And also, how do you make up for the loss of time where other brands like Samsung have filled the gap so successfully?
So we are in a market that is totally driven by innovation. 12, 13 years ago, we invented the category, mobile messaging, with the first BlackBerry, and we grow extremely quickly. And 3 years ago, roughly, we realized that our platform was aging. So we had to make a choice, whether we were going to become a licensee of another platform, Android, for instance, or Windows Mobile, or remain master of our own destiny and invest in our own platform. And that's what we did. We chose the tough road. We invested in BlackBerry 10. It was 2 years of engineering efforts, development effort, and now we are with a new platform that is truly differentiated. So the primary way we will come back is by exposing to the world a product with differentiation, with innovation, with a new paradigm for a smartphone. And that comes, roughly speaking, 6 years after the touch paradigm was introduced, very successful, but that paradigm is getting a bit old now. There is a bit of fatigue. And the new paradigm we are introducing, for instance, on a touch Z10, there is no home button. You constantly flow from one application to another. You can have multiple applications open at the same time. All your communication services, social networking services open at the same time. So with those innovations and communicating those innovations to our fans, that's how we will start and engineer the comeback.
Talking of your fans, there's been a decline in the overall number of BlackBerry subscribers. Not much, but it's there. And obviously a huge shift among younger audiences towards the iPhone and increasingly towards the Samsung. How do you win back those fans? I mean, is it enough just to have a differentiated product? I mean, all products are great these days. Technology is creating some amazing things. But how do you get the love of the brand back?
So first of all, the love of the brand is still there. That was my first observation when I joined. The amount of love, passion for the brand there is around the world is absolutely amazing. When you arrive in Jakarta or in Johannesburg, working for BlackBerry, you feel like a rock star. Because BlackBerry is still the #1 brand in many countries, especially in the Southern Hemisphere. Talking about our fans, I was just checking the numbers. We have 32 million fans on social networks, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And that number has increased in the last 9 months by about 6 million. So the number of fans is increasing. We have close to 80 million customers. And the introduction of the BlackBerry 10 has been very successful. I can share with you a press release that is coming out as we speak in London from Selfridges. They introduced the Q10 on Saturday, and it was the fastest selling tech product by Selfridges on the first weekend. So there is demand for the BlackBerry products and for the innovation we are bringing back to the market.
We have actually a non-executive director of Selfridges speaking at the event tomorrow, which is interesting. So you should stick around for that conversation. Yep. In terms of just, before we move on to the marketing of the new products, I just sort of a question really more about the internal philosophy of your company. Obviously, you've changed the RIM business and you've changed a lot of management. But intrinsically, having had 9 months of experience at BlackBerry, what can a company learn about change and about adapting to change?
First, that in our business, you've got to go very quickly. So the amount of change that has happened in BlackBerry in the last 12 months is unprecedented. We've changed the senior management team. We've engaged in a cost-cutting program. We've saved more than $1 billion. We are back to profitability last quarter. We've completely reorganized all functions within the companies, and we've introduced a new platform with a new marketing campaign. So basically, we've left no stone unturned in a very short amount of time, less than 12 months, and that's how you've got to do it when you are operating in the fast-paced technology business. Just to give you one example, when I joined in June, we were tracking the media sentiment around the world. We were tracking at 75% negative opinion. As a matter of fact, the week I joined, Canadian Business Week had its cover saying, "RIM, rest in peace." That was my welcome gift, so to speak. Last week, we were trending globally at 90% positive mention in the media. So we've completely changed the sentiment.
And what do you think accounts for that?
One thing, what I realized very early on is, on one side, we have a very innovative platform, new products, true to the BlackBerry DNA. We can talk a little bit about it, but security, the keyboard, communication, instant messaging, while covering the table stakes like the browser, etc. And on the other side, a very loyal fan base. You look at all categories of influencers, reporters, CEOs, celebrities, tech gurus, etc., you still have many people who love their keyboard, who love the BlackBerry. And so what we started to do was a very comprehensive advocacy campaign, doing face-to-face demos of the BlackBerry 10 platform to those influencers, and we let them do the talking, tweeting, blogging about it, speaking to their friends, families, colleagues, etc. And we've done that across the world, and progressively we changed the sentiment just by showing the products versus telling our story.
So let's turn to the marketing. So I would imagine you're probably one of the most pressurized CMOs in the business right now, with all eyes upon you. What's your budget for marketing, first of all, globally?
It's a very significant budget, but we don't disclose our marketing budget. Don't want our competitors to know. What I can tell you is that we have no debt. We have close to $3 billion in the bank. So the marketing muscle is not the issue. We need to have the right campaign to spend our money wisely, but it's not a question of quantity. We've got the resources to do it.
And is your CEO looking at results in terms of, does good look like simply increase in market share, increase in sales, or are you also tracking sentiment analysis, proxies like likes and shares and various ratings and
yes,
so on? What's important to you in gauging the success of this total reinvention of your business?
Yeah. The early indicator of our success, we measure it through Net Promoter Score. We want to see the propensity of the first BlackBerry 10 customers to recommend the BlackBerry 10 to their family, friends, colleagues, etc. That's the very first indicator of success. We also look at the key attributes of the brand in terms of consideration, preference, etc. And then obviously the market share. And pretty much everywhere where we've launched the BlackBerry 10, we are already the third ecosystem after just a few months.
Okay. We've heard some fantastic stories, actually, even at this early stage of the conference, about brands using content as such a fundamentally important part now of the marketing and media process. In terms of content, what are you doing at BlackBerry to try and engage with consumers in terms of owning content or latching onto content and using it in your marketing?
I very much believe that brand programming is the next frontier of marketing. The traditional model is you advertise to an audience that you want to target, but you don't care that much about the content that audience is viewing, as long as it is the audience you want to target. I think the next frontier is to make sure that the content itself has an affinity with the brand. So the connection will be much stronger. Not only it will be the relevant audience that you'll be engaging with, but you'll be engaging with them around a content, around a theme that has affinity with the brand.
Yeah, because you have Alicia Keys and
yes.
some brand. Explain a little bit about how you're using some of these celebrities. And
yes, so our new campaign, our umbrella campaign for the launch of the BlackBerry 10 is Keep Moving, and we've launched the Keep Moving projects with a number of artists. So for instance, with Neil Gaiman, the writer, we asked him to write a calendar of tales with a short story for each month of the year. And the inspiration for those short stories was to be provided by fans from around the world. We launched it at the end of January, and the hashtag of Twitter for the calendar of tales was the #1 hashtag on Twitter for a week globally in January. With Alicia Keys, we are sponsoring a global tour, Set the World on Fire, and in each city she's performing, she's shooting a video, and the content of that video is inspired by local fans.
Okay.
So we do a lot of creative projects like that, connecting an audience with an artist around a piece of new creative content.
And you've also, quite interesting seeing some of the cases coming through, you're also resorting to some quite interesting guerrilla tactics with trying to get BlackBerry back into the minds of other handset users. We have a very interesting case, actually. I thought you might be interested in talking
yes.
our delegates through this.
First, I'd like to share a statistic with you. Now we've got some hindsight on the first sales of the BlackBerry 10, and we know that 55% of the BlackBerry 10 customers are coming from another platform. So 29% from iOS, 26% from Android. So we know that there are customers out there on another platform today who are either dissatisfied or looking for something new. So the question is, how do we reach them? They are carrying a smartphone in their hands every day. So the most effective way to reach them is to target them on their smartphone. So we've developed some HTML5 content that emulates the BlackBerry 10 experience on your smartphone. Whether you have an iOS or an Android, you will see a glimpse of what BlackBerry 10 offers on your screen. So we can play the video of
yes, talk us through, because this is probably one of the most interesting technologically guerrilla marketing cases that I've seen. You know.
So you've just seen the home screen of the BlackBerry 10. It shows you the gesture, how you get into your live panes. You are in the calendar, you don't want to use it, you just flick it up. You have all your open applications. BlackBerry World, where you can find the Festival of Media app next year. You have your BlackBerry Hub that aggregates all your communication services, always at your fingertips, one swipe away. An amazing keyboard that has predictive capabilities that can manage multiple languages at the same time. So if you're like me and you speak in more than one language or write in more than one language, it will predict in both.
And I would be seeing this on my iPhone.
On an iPhone or an Android. This is a BBM video chat that allows you to share your screen. So you can share a document on your screen without sending the document. So no other video chat has that yet on the market. We are the first to introduce it.
And how many times has this ad been seen on other people's platforms?
We've just started to introduce it. Okay. So there will be many ways to prompt you to watch that content. Number of guerrilla tactics.
So you'd see an in-mobile banner ad, perhaps click on that, and then it would expand to fill your screen.
Yes. So. Or a direct mail campaign. We have the emails of former BlackBerry users. So when I say we are winning back people from other platforms, a number of them were BlackBerry users before.
Yes.
And they're coming back to the brand.
Interesting. Can I ask, in the time we have, a sort of slightly wider, broader question now? And obviously, let's assume that you're successful in bringing that market share back up to between 10 and 20% of the smartphone market, which I know is the target. Would you then see yourself going forward as a handset manufacturer, or do you see yourself increasingly as a content company?
We see ourselves as a platform company to start with, and we believe that the next era in smartphones is about mobile computing. The BlackBerry 10 platform, for instance, is already today in more than 45 million cars, the core operating system. And in a smartphone like the BlackBerry Z10, you've got as much computing power than in a laptop. So there are many applications that you can enable from your smartphone moving forward. So we want really to have a platform play, and on that platform, you will see us introducing services for consumers and enterprise, and some of them are very close to being a media type of platform. Let me take just one example. BlackBerry Messenger is the dominant instant messenger platform in a number of countries. So let's take Indonesia, for instance. And in Indonesia, brands and small businesses are using it as a marketing medium to connect to their customers. We have also just introduced BBM Money in Indonesia that allows people to send money securely over BBM. So you will see us in the coming weeks introducing new services around BlackBerry Messenger in particular that will appeal to brands.
So in a way, you're moving into the territory that is occupied by some of the major digital companies, whether that's Twitter, Yahoo, Google, Microsoft, and so on. And also, obviously, having to also compete with the mighty iTunes with regards to content. So, do you see your competitive set as not just the Nokias and the Samsungs, but in fact, the broad digital ecosystem, possibly including even the online payment companies now?
Yes, but we compete and we cooperate. For instance, we have a very deep relationship with Facebook. So in the BlackBerry Hub, you've got a native integration of Facebook. BlackBerry World is socially integrated. When you download an app, it triggers an event on your timeline on Facebook. Same with Twitter, with LinkedIn. So I see them very much more as partners than competitors.
Okay, well look, if you were to promise to give a free Q or Z10 to our delegates here if they return to the Festival of Media in 2014, I'm sure you'd get a rapturous applause, and we would also get your app loaded on our system.
So I can tell you that if they come to BlackBerry Live in Orlando in May, which is our annual conference, they'll get a BlackBerry 10 for free.
Good man. Well, there you can't say fairer than that. I'm afraid we've run to time. We're trying to keep it tight this morning. I would have loved to have asked more questions. But you are staying here today. You'll be here tomorrow as well, I gather.
Absolutely.
So your questions can be focused directly to BlackBerry in person rather than just with a microphone. So wonderful benefit to have. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give a huge round of applause to Frank Boulben from BlackBerry? Thank you very much. Very exciting.